introduce Caroline Van Ingen and Anna Tanguma. We were invited, Laredo Community College was invited to be in the first cohort of an NSF-supported grant called Kickstarter. And it was to work with community colleges across the country, from Florida, Texas, California, New Mexico, and to help us in writing better grants for funding from NSF. So welcome Caroline Van Ingen and Anna Tanguma. And we're going to link with other colleges across the country.
So thanks very much for having us. I am Caroline Van Ingen Dunn, and with me is Anna Tanguma Gallegos. And we're here to share with you how we're building capacity to broaden participation in HSIs. Our objective is, well, I've done introductions, but we are going to have a virtual panel, and I want to share with you a little bit about who we are at Science Foundation Arizona and what our Kickstarter program is. And Anna's going to let you know, I think in the next, you're my clicker then. Okay, because he was going to be my clicker, but you're my clicker because I don't have a clicker. Oh, okay, you're the clicker? Okay, great. Apparently the remote one isn't working. And then we'll give you an overview of our Kickstarter program. But first, I guess the next slide is going to say, yeah, I can't read the end of that. But anyway, we want to help HSI institutions use NSF resources and their opportunities to build STEM capacity and broaden participation with the knowledge that the Kickstarter processes and resources can increase the likelihood of their success and or increase their effectiveness in building STEM cultures at their HSIs. That's what we're working toward. And again, I'm Caroline, and we have Anna, but what we're going to do here today is, like Dr. Garza said, is we're going to bring in a couple of representatives from a couple of our colleges that we've been working closely with over the last couple of years. And that's from San Joaquin Delta College. We have Dr. Laura Ochoa Sanchez and Tina Merlino. Can you wave and say hi? Yay, see, they're there. That's great. And from Palo Alto College, we have almost Dr. Stephanie Vasquez. She's working on her PhD. Hi, Stephanie. And I would really want to thank Anna Tanguma, who I'm going to give the microphone to next, for really putting a lot of effort into working with Laredo Community College in making this available and working. So Anna, thanks so much for making this happen. She's going to talk to and ask these candidates here their questions. Are you ready, Anna? Okay. Are you going to?
Hi. So I want to test out the audio. Tina?
Hello.
Hi, San Joaquin Delta, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. And then Palo Alto, Stephanie Vasquez, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, I can hear you.
Great, thank you. So we wanted to let the audience know and give them this firsthand experience on the Kickstarter process. And what better way is to invite our Kickstarter colleges from cohort 1 and 2 to participate in a question and answer. This is a flip session, as you say, because we embrace our colleges. So we had some questions that we prepared with them, and we're going to go into some of the questions. So my first question would be for San Joaquin Delta, and is, what motivated you to apply for the Kickstarter services?
So we had applied for a few grants and we were not successful. We recognized that we had a team that was new to the grant writing process. And so when we learned that there was an opportunity to receive technical assistance, we immediately decided that we wanted to apply for the Kickstarter grant. And so we applied the first time and we were denied, but then we didn't give up. We knew that we wanted to pursue that additional support. And so we applied a second time and then were awarded the grant.
Great, thank you. And Stephanie, what motivated you to apply for the Kickstarter services? And what was your first step?
So at Palo Alto College, we had actually been relatively successful in acquiring Department of Ed STEM-related funding, and we hadn't really pursued NSF funding on our own. We had been part of other partnerships with some of our sister colleges and other four-year universities, but we were at a point at the time that we applied to be part of the first cohort where we were thinking ahead. We knew that our HSI STEM grant from the Department of Ed was going to be coming to an end soon, and we really just wanted to see what resources we needed to provide our students with regards to STEM academic programs and just initiatives overall at the college. So what we wanted to do was kind of twofold things, was to one, build on some STEM planning efforts that had been happening at the college since about 2012, but then also position ourselves to be competitive for other STEM external funds specific to NSF, and then we were, looking forward to continuing our Department of Ed funding. So really what prompted this was an email from our president. He said, hey, this looks like a really good opportunity. We've been hearing some of our faculty talk about NSF funding in the past few years, and we're talking about all these things that we want to do in STEM. Let's see if we can connect with Science Foundation Arizona and this new pilot program that they're doing and see if it might be something that can help us move forward. So what we did was really start the application process, and starting the application to Kickstarter is what really helped us take stock of where we had been with regards to STEM programs, where we were at the time, and where we wanted to be. And it was actually kind of serendipitous timing, because around that point, I had actually just started at the college as a grant writer. So this ended up being a perfect opportunity to kind of do an internal reflection and get to know what had been going on at the college with regards to STEM and what we needed to be doing moving forward. So it was really perfect timing that we were able to participate as part of the first cohort.
Great, thank you. San Joaquin Delta, what was the impact of your engagement in the STEM education assessment and planning component of Kickstarter process? And how did it persist, or has it persisted?
So for us, once we were awarded the grant, what we did is we met as a team, and what it did is it brought two divisions together, the Applied Science, Business, and Technology division, and also Agriculture, Science, and Mathematics. And so it brought together a team of faculty, staff, managers to develop a STEM plan. And as we worked through the STEM plan, what we were able to identify are our strengths and weaknesses. And we had a pretty lengthy discussion about how we plan to address those weaknesses, while also recognizing that we had several strengths on our campus, and how were we going to ensure that our campus community knew about the work that we were doing to support students on the STEM pathway. So how has it persisted? We have a plan in place. This plan has helped us and has guided us in deciding which grants we are going to pursue, and also has helped us to identify what interventions are needed to provide additional support to our students who are on the STEM pathway.
And if I may just add to that, when I first came on, and I know Laura as well, when we would typically work on grants, we would see a grant opportunity and then read what the solicitation was asking for, and then write to that grant opportunity. But after doing the self-assessment and seeing what gaps were needed and what things we wanted to do for our students and for our college, we flipped the way that we've started writing for grants and seeking those grant opportunities. So now we refer to our plan, and when we see an opportunity come up that meets our need, then we go and we decide that, okay, that's something that we want to pursue. Let's get our team back together and talk about how we will address this within our plan. So it was a really great way to flip the way that we pursue different funding opportunities.
Great, thank you. And Stephanie?
So one of the things that we were able to do was bring together individuals from across the college for the purpose of this Kickstarter process, right, where we wanted to go through the STEM pathways assessment. So we brought together people from the STEM faculty side, academic support services, so our tutoring areas and library folks, our early college, high school, STEM programs that we've been working on, advising, and then grants and administration. And I mentioned before that the college had already tried kind of doing a STEM strategic plan a few years back. And what ended up happening is that through this Kickstarter process, we were able to jumpstart those discussions with a really clear idea of we need to, look at the STEM pathways model and see what are the things that we're doing well, what are the things that we want to continue, and then what are the things that we've identified as areas of improvement. And what ended up happening is that each of those participants that was part of our Kickstarter team essentially did that STEM pathways assessment kind of individually from the vantage point of their particular department. And then we convened pretty regularly over the course of at least a semester, fall and spring when we first were awarded. And we'd have discussions about what does that mean? If we needed to continue with our advising for students, what could that look like in the near future, right? But one of the things that we discovered was that there's a lot of things we do well for our students with regards to STEM, but things like industry partnerships and building our relationships with four-year colleges were things that all of us discussed as areas for improvement. So really having that cross-college discussion specifically about STEM allowed us to have a really focused conversation, have a plan in mind about what we wanted to do next. And we also then had buy-in. It wasn't just me as a new grant writer saying, hey, I think there's a really neat opportunity from the NSF, who wants to do it? We actually had people at the table who were able to have the input about what the needs were at the college, and then have that be what informed what opportunities we're going to pursue for external funds, but then also help shape the internal initiatives that we were already working on. And so with regards to developing grants, it means that I was already able to have a pool of people who knew what we were talking about when it came to STEM program development and were willing to participate. So how has that persisted? In terms of having those regular Kickstarter internal meetings here at the college, we haven't done them as formally because we've actually been just moving ahead. So one of the things that I wanted to see is if we might be able to bring that group together back more formally to literally say, hey, this is the assessment that we did. These were the opportunities we addressed as gaps or as things we needed to address moving forward. Where have we moved or where have we improved? But I think that's something that we'd like to do after we've had a little bit more time to actually put our findings to practice. So right now, I think the Kickstarter process has persisted, but more organically and woven into the things that we're doing at the college.
Great, thank you. A question for San Joaquin Delta. What type of capacity building needs did you identify or discover?
So when we met as a team, as I mentioned, we were able to bring faculty, staff, managers to develop the STEM plan from both applied science, business and technology, and our ag science and math division. And so one of the things that we identified was a need for connection to industry, which would provide students with local internships or job opportunities. And so we also had the dean of CTE from our campus who was part of the plan. And so as a result, through strong workforce development funds, we now have a workforce development center and a manager who is assigned to connecting with industry and developing internships with our students. So one of the things that we've identified is this connection between career technical education and STEM, and pursuing opportunities, grant opportunities that support students pursuing degrees and certificates in career technical education and STEM.
As part of those cross conversations between CTE and I guess we call it the non-CTE or the STEM and the different division side, what was really great, which I actually just thought of based on something that Stephanie said, is part of our flex days or our professional development days. After we talked in the STEM planning groups and with the self-assessment, we started what we call cross-disciplinary conversations. So not just in STEM, but throughout the college, we started pairing, and I say we as in administrators or those that plan flex days, but we started pairing up different disciplines across CTE and non-CTE to start having conversations about their curriculum, about career, about their advisory committees, about what they're doing really, because even though the 10 of us or 12 of us in the room were talking about what's happening in CTE or what's happening in STEM, we felt that the faculty didn't necessarily know the same, what was happening in CTE or what was happening in the STEM fields, and making those connections. So the way that we've also brought in participation is through the development of our different grant proposals. We have, with those cross-disciplinary conversations, developed our most recent NSF STEM grant proposal that we're submitting next week, which is specifically geology and engineering. So those are two disciplines in different divisions, engineering having a lot more of a career technical education focus, but really looking at the geosciences and geology and engineering and crossing those disciplines throughout our proposal. So originally our proposal was all STEM programs, and we ended up narrowing it down through the Kickstarter process and learning that it would really strengthen our proposal to have a small focus. And the faculty in those areas have been very involved and excited to propose a project that's cross-disciplinary and work together to help students understand the careers and opportunities that are available in that cross-disciplinary focus.
Thank you. And that's broadening participation among your STEM faculty, correct, San Joaquin Delta?
Yes, yeah. So both the cross-disciplinary conversations and then the geology and engineering. I could add one more, and that is when we've been writing these proposals, we've been asking different faculty whether they would want to serve as mentors. So even outside of the disciplines that we're writing into the proposal, we've had, I want to say, almost 10 different STEM faculty say, write my name in there, saying that I would be a volunteer mentor for students should we be funded.
Great. Thank you. And Stephanie, can we hear from you? Palo Alto?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great.
Go
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so some of the capacity building needs that we identified in going through the Kickstarter process were needing to build our relationships with our industry partners and even our community partners that could relate to STEM. We realized that on the CTE side, we have advisory boards and quite a bit of interactions with industry folks, but that wasn't really necessarily happening for all of our STEM students across the college. So we realized those were things that we wanted to strengthen, and that we also wanted to build our relationships with our four-year partners in the area when it came to transfer. So one of the things that we talked about was similar to Delta College, was being able to offer students connections to industry with internships. But we also talked about, with the help of some really wonderful faculty that we have here, is being able to provide students research experiences and things that can connect them to career as well. So I think for us, we realized that we needed to really be able to speak to the whole STEM pipeline, and specifically toward the latter part of it, and see what we could do to strengthen our relationships with folks in terms of the resources we could offer our students while they're here at the college. So right now, what we are doing is similar to Delta College, in that through our grant development, we are trying to make sure we are addressing those opportunities for improvement that we identified through the assessment process. And I think the perfect example of that is through our recent NSF STEM Award. So that was actually our first successful NSF proposal and our first lead proposal as a college. We received that in fall 2017. So our faculty member, Dr. Butcher, is really the champion of that proposal. So that right there is the embodiment of faculty participation. He really owns the project, and he's incredibly excited about working with faculty members, not only in STEM disciplines here at the college, but other areas to implement what he calls pods of discovery. The idea is that students can come together to work on a STEM-related project, but it may include other disciplines like arts or even agriculture or other areas. So it's really looking at STEM from a holistic perspective. We did focus on biology students, but there's different ways that they'll be able to connect with things here at the college and other disciplines. So I think that right there has been, I think, the most successful example of a faculty member who was involved with the Kickstarter assessment process from the beginning, who's willing to champion being a PI and really the owner of the STEM project. He's implementing it now. He's got other faculty members here at the college involved. And within his department, other people are becoming interested in working on NSF programs in the future. And they're also asking about what's going on with STEM programs overall at the college. So because of that sort of positive experience and participation, we even have faculty who are willing to work on our STEM programs and summer bridge programs that we are doing with our HSI grant from the Department of Ed. So it really has provided, I think, a holistic, positive view of STEM programs at the college. So faculty, for the most part, are really excited. I think we're trying to figure out how we can support them when we actually get these grants now, and make sure that they're successful and we don't scare anybody away with all the fun things we do.
That's funny. Thank you. I have one more question for San Joaquin Delta. To what extent has your STEM planning team contribute to new programs or innovation on your campus? And what are your next steps and plans for achieving your STEM education goals?
So as I mentioned earlier, through the STEM, as we developed the STEM plan, one of the things we recognized was the need for stronger relationships with industry. And so as I mentioned, through strong workforce development funds, our college now has a CTE Workforce Development Center. So we have staff who are going out and connecting with industry, and then also sharing internship opportunities with our students. And this is something that's very new, that's happened within the last year. We're really looking forward to growing that. As I mentioned, that was an area that we wanted to expand upon, and are pretty excited that we're able to provide that service to our students. And then of course, we're going to continue by guidance through our STEM plan to seek out future funding. So, and Tina will speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think our next steps are to continue meeting, continue looking at the plan, and continue seeking funding, because every time we meet, we think of these new innovative ideas and projects that we want to implement. And then we think, okay, we need resources for this. So as I mentioned, we're currently working on the STEM proposal, which is due next week. And should we get that, it would be really great for our students, because we, part of our team and part of our work on it, we've worked across the college. So I just wanted to give an example that I didn't give on the broadened participation earlier, and something that we're wanting to continue and likely going to continue even should we not be funded. But we have a student equity plan on our campus. Actually, all of the California community colleges have a student equity plan. And as part of that, other folks on campus are starting a mentorship training program for faculty, specifically for men of color to start. And so what we've done is we've talked to them about how we might broaden that to STEM faculty in general, specifically for as we're a Hispanic serving institution, but to really get that same training and to be able to provide that same mentorship at the same level that those that are being trained specifically for men of color will be providing. So we think that having that kind of partnership where we're able to have our faculty in STEM work and be trained and have a network of mentors throughout the college in all of the other disciplines, that it will really strengthen their mentorship component here in the STEM area. So we want to continue doing things like that and having conversations about what's happening in different pockets. So we have a very strong MESA program, and they are part of our STEM planning team. And we want to continue saying, okay, what is it that you're doing for your students that's working? How can we provide that more broadly to STEM students or within specific disciplines? And then what other funding sources should we be seeking out, and projects should we be proposing so that we're able to provide these services to students?
Great, thank you. Stephanie?
So I think the STEM planning team really helped contribute to a couple of new awards. So one is our NSF STEM Award. We received that in fall 2017. We were also able to receive another HSI STEM Grant Award from the Department of Ed. And then we've also been able to develop here at the college, we have something that's called a College Action Plan, which includes a logic model and really an overall program kind of evaluation approach for cross-college initiatives like STEM programs. And so what's ended up happening as a result of that STEM planning team is that people who participated in that process are working through not only grant programs, but existing initiatives at the college. So I think one of the most interesting aspects that came out of the STEM planning teams is being able to have our one-stop STEM center come to fruition. So this is similar to the MESA model that you mentioned, but we're going to be able to open a newly renovated, a newly constructed facility this summer that will be dedicated to STEM. It'll have a maker space and a place where community and industry partners can convene, where student organizations can convene for STEM activities, where our faculty can come and do one-on-ones. We'll have tutors, advisors, really the whole gamut of service. So it'll be a hub on campus related to STEM. And in that facility, we're going to be able to leverage different initiatives at the college and grant opportunities. So I'm really looking forward to the development of that center. And that's been something that's been talked about for probably about 4 years at the least. So I think that was really probably the prime example of something positive that came out of that team. And in terms of our next steps for achieving our STEM education goals is to really see through all of these plans and things that we've talked about needing to work on. We actually need to do them and see them in action. So that's what we're working on right now. One of the things that I actually just had a conversation about this morning is our need to develop really a centralization or a sort of center for students with regards to career and internship activities, not only for STEM, but for just job and career activities overall. So that's something that we're working on really diligently at the college right now. And then our faculty are actually going out and meeting directly with faculty members at our four-year partners, so at A&M San Antonio and UTSA. Part of that is coming through grant activities that we're working on here at the college. And then on the flip side, the four-year partners are reaching out to us as well to see if our faculty are able to connect. So because of that cross-college and STEM discipline interactions, I think that will end up benefiting our students when we talk about transfer and job placement and internship opportunities. So overall, we're really trying to broaden our network of meaningful relationships with partners so that when we have these initiatives and ideas of things that we want to do, we have people that can help facilitate all of that for our students.
Great, thank you. And we do have a mic up here, up in the front. Does anyone have questions for our virtual panel? We set it all up. I know it's after lunch. Any questions for them? Come on. No? Okay. Well, thank you, virtual panel, for joining us today. And they're going to, oh, look at it. You know, this is their presentation, San Joaquin Delta and Palo Alto's presentation. We're just here because we support them, but they are the connectors and the drivers for our students and for their college, so I appreciate their time and working with me and so forth. But we're going to go to our slides now, and they're going to stay on if we have any other questions. So we're just switching over to our share screen. So why do we work with HSI and why do we push the STEM initiative? As we can show you here, we cited a couple of works, but by 2016, 33% of underage population in the United States will be Latinos. And they also show that only 15% of Latinx students will have a bachelor's or earn a bachelor's degree or higher. And the reason why we show you the literature here is because in an NSF proposal, you are going to need to do a literature review. So understanding the literature and understanding where the Seminole comes from or understanding the population is very critical. As we share with our Kickstarter group and our cohort, sometimes I will pull some of the literature and post it on some of the blogs that our Kickstarter colleges have access to. So it's a list of all updated literature that we do here at Kickstarter. In the next slide, Caroline Vanning and Dunn will share with you a little bit about the Science Foundation Arizona. Caroline?
Great. Thanks, Anna. That was great. And thank you, panelists, as well, for participating with us. So the next few slides are going to be more about answering probably some of the questions as what is it that we were providing and what kind of assistance did colleges like Palo Alto College and San Joaquin Delta do to be able to share with you their experiences and outcomes of going through the process. But first, who are we at Science Foundation Arizona? Well, you have to go back, there you go. Yeah, we provide services for maximizing the educational and impact of STEM. We were founded in 2006 by industry leaders in Arizona to diversify the economy through investments that in state-based research and in education. And we've really evolved so that we're focusing a lot on STEM education, and my focus has been around community college and in particular Hispanic serving institutions and the rural colleges in Arizona. We are now affiliated with Arizona State University's SkySong. That's a center and home to a diverse business community, very entrepreneurial, new startups, technology, research-based. So it's really a fun, exciting environment to continue to innovate and expand on ideas. So we feel really at home there. Thank you. So our community college initiative is really about everything that you're trying to do is increase the quality and quantity of STEM students who use, at least we're pursuing that, really advocating for the use of community college as part of the pathway to be successful. Okay. So the Kickstarter program that we've talked about, it is an NSF-funded grant. We've got $1.8 million over a 4-year period. And while some of our participants on the panel say that they were awarded a grant, they really were not awarded a grant. There was no funding exchanged at all. The funding went into providing the ability to develop the process, test the process, and pay for the time to deliver the process with these community colleges. And the colleges weren't handpicked and they didn't propose to be part of it. They actually had to apply. And in so doing, they identified a number of things, like Stephanie said, about what is it that we're doing, and what we were trying to assess in our selecting who would be part of the cohorts is how ready are these colleges in being successful at getting an NSF grant. So what we were hoping to do is that every community college HSI would compete successfully on an NSF project, help them strengthen their STEM infrastructure, develop key partnerships that are established to improve their competitiveness, because the more partners you have, the better able you are to be able to continue to deliver programs and have partners to support what it is you're doing. And we would like the Kickstarter process that's been developed and implemented to be sustainable, and that's something that we're responsible for and working on. Okay. So this is the kicker right here, which is why you heard so much from the panelists today about what they're doing that really wasn't about how to write a grant. You'll notice that none of them talked about how to write a grant, because our hypothesis is that the proposals that they do develop, that they're developed on a college-wide STEM plan. And we believe that and as you heard, if they have a plan that's bought in by everybody that they bring into from a STEM, we advise that they have at least a 10-person STEM planning team representing diverse aspects of their college, that they assess their capabilities in STEM, and we provide a tool to do that, build this plan, and we believe that with a plan and proposals that are developed out of this plan, that they're much more likely to be successful. And NSF really wants to know that the funding that they're going to give to an institution is actually supported by more than just one faculty with one idea who may leave and then there's nothing. I know I've heard of grants coming in and nobody knows who the professor was anymore who left, and then you're left with nothing. So the idea is to really build a foundation to support not only the development of the proposal, but the delivery and implementation of the proposal. I have to see what my second step was. What was the second? Did I say it already? The technical assistance. Oh, okay. And the assistance that we provide really is built on NSF principles throughout the whole process, starting with that first application. So from the get-go, they're experiencing what they would be experiencing as an NSF grantee, thinking through about what's important in terms of delivery. Just the application process in and of itself, we bring an external review panel to review that, so it's an independent assessment of the readiness that then we, just like we have the independent reviews out of NSF, just multiple aspects of NSF that we bring into our whole process so they get into shape, so to speak, to work with NSF. Okay, thanks. So this is who we're working with. Who you met this morning or on the panel was Palo Alto College, Stephanie Vasquez. So she was Palo Alto was part of the first cohort out of San Antonio in Texas. And San Joaquin Delta, I'm not ready yet there. San Joaquin Delta is from the second cohort in California, the northern part of California. But who we targeted, our requests for applications were sent out to all the presidents, vice presidents, and as many people as we knew in all the HSI community colleges in Florida, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. So cohort, I'll go from right to the left. We have Miami-Dade College in North Campus, was a part of cohort 1. There's, we just got Mountain View College, that's in cohort 3. We just brought in cohort 3. We're introducing them to the process right now. They're out of Dallas. We just met with Palo Alto College, Lee College out of Houston, and then Laredo Community College right here. You're part of cohort 1. In New Mexico, we're working with New Mexico State Grants Community College in Grants, New Mexico, and they're in cohort 2. And then in cohort 3, we're just bringing in now University of New Mexico Taos Community College. Arizona, we have Phoenix College. They're out of the Miracle Community College system. That system has 10 community colleges, 10 of which are HSIs. One of our requirements in terms of applying is that you have to not have been a lead HSI participant for an NSF grant. So that does kind of eliminate some of the applicable or eligible candidates. And it turns out that there's a big initiative in the Arizona Community College system that that they were all able to get a small grant from NSF. We're also working with Central Arizona Community College, and Pima Community College is now part of our cohort 3. In California in the north, San Joaquin Delta, West Hills Coalinga, Cerritos College are part of our cohort 3. We have LA Mission College, LA Harbor College, and then we brought in Southwestern Community College in San Diego in cohort 3. So we now have 17 community colleges that we're working with. Our success rate is dependent on the first 11 community colleges, and we're showing a success rate of about 38%, and I don't say about, it is 38%, and about $2.12 million in grant funding. And what we mean by that is of all the proposals that these colleges have submitted, of the 13 that a decision has been made upon, 5 of those, or 38%, have been awarded. We do have 3 colleges that are in the question and answer phase, which doesn't guarantee a grant, because you do have to be able to demonstrate not only that you can answer the questions to their satisfaction, but also that you're able to meet the financial requirements after the program is recommended for funding. So nothing's guaranteed. However, we're really excited about this because they are in the question and answer phase, and if they were to get the award, we would be at a 50% success rate. So, but no guarantee at this point, so we're putting in print. We're at a 38% success rate, and we're very, very proud of that. And it didn't come quickly, as you can tell, because a lot of our time has been spent in developing the process, refining it, implementing it, and I can thank the Cohort 1 colleges, Laredo, Palo Alto College, and the other 3, really for their assistance, really providing us input, suggestions, not benefiting from a lot of the things that we did develop after with Cohort 2, but we're really now in, smooth sailing with Cohort 3, and we're pretty excited to see how that goes. Okay, thanks. These are our Cohort 1 and Cohort 2 groups. We take a picture of them in front of the NSF wall, so to speak, at NSF. That's been one of our key features of this particular model. We think it's really important for them to be able to get to personalize NSF, understand the program officers are accessible and available and equally interested in participating with the colleges. And so we monument this, I guess, out of pictures. And so we'll get Cohort 3 there in the middle of April. Okay? So this whole process is built upon a model that we developed with our very first NSF grant, which was actually built upon a grant that our state funded through Science Foundation Arizona to a community college in Cochise in Sierra Vista, Cochise Community College. Their goal was to develop a STEM pathway. And through my role in participating with them in this process, they really did develop a lot of key components into a STEM pathway. And it was the outcome of that grant was a model of what does it mean to have a STEM pathway. And we've identified it that in the 3 columns that you have to have really good outreach to recruit students and recruit students into your college. The blue column is you have to have the right programs in place. They need to be foundational and they need to be relevant. And then the 3rd column is it transferable? Are you able to transfer students to a job or into a university? But you can't just have these things without the horizontal rows. You have to have the right student support strategies all across those pillars. You have to engage in industry in order to stay relevant and to have the support. Technology has to be integrated in every aspect, whether it's through as a communication tool or like in the CTE type programs that you really have the right equipment in place. And you have to make sure that everything that you're offering is meaningful. Nothing needs to be wasted. Everything that a student participates in has meaningful in terms of getting them to the next step. So do you have the right curricular alignment? Are you keeping track of the students that you meet in the outreach piece to get into your program? All of these, this 12 square matrix is the model, and there's 42 different attributes that we've identified with our work with Cochise College. So we had subject matter experts, community college input, vice president of academic who really helped pull all this together. Our expertise from developing tools like this for the K-12 system we applied to this community college system. And through this model now we devised an assessment, and that's what you heard to a little bit about. Colleges, individuals were able to self-assess based on their perspective in their college how effective or how successful did they feel that these 42 attributes were. And then we're able to aggregate all of that into a heat map. I think I'm jumping ahead because we've got a couple of slides that Anna's going to share, but everything is founded on this model. But what I wanted to share with you is that this model was built on a grant we had. Then the work that we've done subsequently with our rural community colleges and this Kickstarter are all built on each other. And that's one of the things NSF looks for. They don't want these one-off proposals and people to kind of go away because that doesn't show a very wise investment in their funding. So they're really looking for grantees that they can invest in that continue to build and grow and create more knowledge and more information. That becomes very foundational. So I would believe that our approach is helping to support that kind of strategy. Thank you. So this is the process. I've touched on a lot of it, but I'm going to hand this over to Anna, who will complete the presentation with a little bit more details on what our process looks like. And thank you very much.
Thanks. Thanks, Caroline. So this is our process for the Kickstarter. First, our colleges, our community colleges, we have an application that opens up. It's an RFP. And we blast that out. We use all the associations, Hispanic serving institutions, and HAKU to help us blast the applications out, and we target only Hispanic serving institutions. After the application process has been completed, we do have a red team review that comes, and it's not us from Science Foundation Arizona, it's content experts and faculty that have worked or reviewed for NSF to look at the applications that some of the HSIs have applied for Kickstarter, and they look at the goals and objectives for that application, and they will recommend or decline those applications. In that process, we select 6 community colleges as HSIs to participate at the Kickstarter process, and we do a readiness assessment with them, and that's the STEM pathway model that was validated and implemented by content experts. After the assessment has been completed, they do develop, the community colleges for Kickstarter have 10 team members, a STEM planning team, come together and build their assessment, they build their team. So when I say a team, not just all faculty, it's staff from advising, counseling, workforce development, sometimes it's students. So they're all on this team working together to also collaborate with the college strategic plan. And so leadership is involved too at their college level to ensure that this Kickstarter process is seen all the way through. The next step in the chevron that you see there is the startup. So they get their acceptance letter and they're really excited to be part of the Kickstarter. And now they're saying, oh, we got to go to DC. Well, we support that opportunity for the PIs, the 2 PIs. We only select 2 PIs from their college to go to DC to meet with our program officers. Building relationships with your program officers are very important, and I will repeat that again. Building a relationship with your program officer is very important. So if you're taking a family trip to DC, swing by the NSF office. Their doors are always open for you. And I say that because that's what they want. They want you to be involved, and they're probably going to say that to you at the next presentation. So we go through the process of Kickstarter. We elaborate a little bit more. We share some research study approaches with our colleges. We also bring some of our guests in from Washington, D.C., and then we also bring in our program officers to do kind of a roundtable speed dating, talking about their concept, talking about their heat map, and so forth with our colleges. So it's a very exciting moment, and we're drilling that aspect to ensuring that we go out, we're getting them excited because at the end of this DC trip, they go back to their campus and they share the knowledge that they've received in DC in anticipation of us visiting their campus. So we do visit their campus with the STEM planning. We go out to their site and do a site tour, and we start building our STEM plan with them, looking at their goals and objectives, looking at their measurements, looking through the readiness assessment, and it's that 10 team that's involved, also the leadership. So everybody knows what everyone's doing on campus. And it's an exciting moment because you see some of the faculty from workforce development and someone from mathematics saying, "You're doing that? You're having an event with scientists and didn't tell me?" You know, there's things that are going on, and sometimes it's a little, you know, I'm not going to paint it red or rosy. Sometimes it's like, well, I don't know why I'm here. Well, it's because of the students. So we bring them together, but they like it. Because at the end of these day and a half visit, at the end of that, they realize we have a plan, and we're working through a plan. It's a work in progress, and we're now able to apply these concepts and these models to proposals. The next chevron is the writing proposal process. And we brought this in place where our research study approach The slide that I talked to you before was about the literature review. In that research study approach, there is some literature review that needs to be placed in that. There is a problem statement. We talk about the hypothesis. We talk about the research questions, and it's not just any research questions. So we go through that process with each of the community colleges. In this whole entire chevron, I just want to state that we're very in touch with them. We contact them, I would say, once a week. And we do cohort meetings once a month with the entire cohort online. So I'll go back to the writing proposal. They have an opportunity to do the research study approach. They put all their information on there. And then we ask, after that's been completed, to do a one-pager. We call it the one-pager. That's our lingo that we have there. And they fill that out, and we review it, and if it looks great and good, then we will give them the opportunity to meet with the program officer over the phone, and we're on the phone with them, and they will discuss their one-page concept, their ideas, with the program officer. And so that's twice that they've already been in contact with that program officer if it's needed. So it's a very important process. After that's been cleared at that one-pager and the program officer says, sure, go ahead and apply for that STEM that's due next week on March the 28th, but they will never tell you that, so I'm just letting you know. Disclaimer there. Meaning, don't write a proposal that late in one week, by the way. The college will come together as a team and will build the proposal. And then we have an opportunity to develop a red team review. And so when the colleges finish the proposal as much as they can with the budget, they will send their proposal over to us, and we will have content experts, NSF reviewers, not from NSF, but our reviewers from NSF that have reviewed for us previously, review the proposals, give them feedback, and it's a blind peer review. Give them feedback, and the colleges will take that feedback and implement it into the proposal. And then we work through more specifically in that process in regards to the fast lane, making sure that's been understood and outlined and so forth. And I think I only have 5 more minutes, so I'm going to go really fast. Let's say a college has been awarded a proposal. We also help them implement and sustain that at their college. We look at their finance, we talk to their leadership, and we help them with that process. So this chevron takes them from the beginning to the end, and we're still in contact with them at all times. So just to show you how the STEM plan is aggregated, the team takes that, we take that aggregation and implement it into the heat map analysis, giving you where your strengths and weaknesses are. And then we take that and look at this, addressing some of the concerns, sometimes some of the goals and objectives, and then we move them over to the STEM pathway model that will help them elaborate more on their goals and objectives and then build the concept that they need. And here we go. So at the end, it's that whole proposal concept development. So we took the STEM planning, readiness assessment, and also took the STEM planning objective at their college. We took the college strategic plan and the goals and focus that they needed. And then we also took the research study approach and intellectual merit that they need to build within that research study approach, and you build your proposal concept. And so that's our goal, and our goal is also to increase Hispanic serving institutions in the STEM field. So here's our contact information if you want to get hold of us. I think I'm going to leave this slide with Dr. Garza, so everyone can have access to it if need to be. We didn't put our emails on there because our information is in the front here with these booklets and information that we have. So thank you for everything, and thank you to our virtual panel. I think they're still on, but we want to tell you thank you for joining us today, and we appreciate it. I think they want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Laura and Tina.